Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be spending some time on the Teseq NSG 3150 test system. We're going to begin the video by going over a little bit about the system, then we'll move to getting the equipment set up, and then finally we'll go ahead and spend some time modifying testing criteria. The Teseq NSG 3150 provides capabilities for combination wave surge testing to 15 kV, 7.5 Ka in accordance with IEC 61000-4-5. It's commonly used with the Teseq CDN 3153-S63, which allows for testing of power lines up to 63 amps, 690 volts. During the video today, you will also notice the INA 3151, which sits on the back of the CDN 3153 and allows for testing DC lines up to 1000 volts, 63 amps. Let's go ahead now and let's take a little closer look at the front of the NSG 3150. Here's the front of the Teseq NSG 3150. Let's go ahead and let's start from the left and let's work our way right. On the left side, we have the surge high and low output. These connections are typically connected to the CDN 3153, which we'll walk through a little later in the video. Working our way right, we have the reference ground connector, and then next to that, we have our display. Below the display, we have a series of buttons and a wheel. Finally, all the way on the right, we have a series of LED indicators, which are used to identify different functions, including errors. Let's go ahead now and let's take a look at the back of the NSG 3150. All right, here's the back of the Teseq NSG 3150. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the right side of the system. There we have the mains power off-on switch, as well as the mains power connection. Below that, we have the master controller with Ethernet connector. And then finally, all the way at the bottom, we have the system interface output connector. Let's go ahead now and let's spend some time getting this test system set up. Now let's go ahead and let's walk through getting the system operational. The first connection we're going to make is the surge high and low outputs from the transient generator to our CDN. These connections are on the left side of the NSG 3150 and they connect to the left side of the CDN 3153. As we look at the front of the CDN 3153-S63, next to the surge inputs, we have our EUT output connections, and then just below those connections, we have our reference ground connector. Just as with the NSG 3150, we also have status indicators in the upper right corner. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the back of the system. Here's the back of the NSG 3150 and the CDN 3153. There's only a few connections we're going to need to make to get the system operational. The first connection is from the system interface output connector on the back of the NSG 3150 to the system interface input connector on the back of the CDN 3153, just below the power input. To the right of that, we have the system interface output, and as you can see, we have the system interface output closed with our termination adapter. Finally, all the way on the bottom of the unit, we have the INA 3151, allowing for testing up to 1000 volts, 63 amps with the CDN 3153. That should complete the necessary connections to get the system operational. Let's go ahead now and let's get the system powered on and spend some time changing different testing criteria. All right, here's the starting display on the Teseq NSG 3150. You can see on the screen right now, we have combination wave as well as pulse magnetic field. Looking on the right side, we have icons for system, reset interlock, and remote. Now, if you are just reconnecting or disconnecting the connections or have made any adjustments there, you could hit that reset interlock button and it's going to be sure that you are reading the CDN 3153. Let's go ahead now and let's click on combination wave. All right, here's our combination wave surge test menu. And if you used other Teseq transient generators, this display is going to look very similar. Starting in the upper left, we have the voltage, impedance, and then phase. And then on the right, we have our coupling, repetition time, and step duration. Looking below the criteria right there along the bottom, we have our load user test, load standard test, save test, and show graphics. Finally, all the way on the right in the red column, we have exit, EUT off, show steps, and add step. Let's go ahead now and let's change some of the criteria. Let's go ahead and change it to 10,000 volts. So to do that, hit the 2000 right there and modify that by using the scroll wheel to 10. All right, there we are. Now let's go ahead and let's click on the IEC coupling. This allows you to select the different coupling configurations. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to click OK and keep the default values for today's video. Looking just below that, we have our repetition time and step duration. You can see you can adjust those in a very similar manner by clicking on them and then adjusting them. Let's go ahead and let's leave that at 30 for today. As we mentioned before, we have our load test standard at the bottom there. Let's go ahead and let's select that. This is going to be the pre-programmed test standards built into the NSG 3150. Now, when you do find the level you're looking for, you go ahead and select it. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, you see OK. You just hit that. Excellent. And now you should see that change on the display. All right, that should complete the video today on the Teseq NSG 3150. We began the video by talking a little bit about the test system. Then we moved to the connections in the front and the back. Then we went ahead and powered on the system and modified some testing criteria using the front panel display. We hope this video has been useful, and please keep us in mind if you ever need to rent the NSG 3150 test system.